Hi, welcome to Biz Pointz TV. This is the show that introduces you to new and trending business topics, smart technologies, and the people that are impacting our small business communities. I'm Larry Kortkamp, I'll be your host, and we'll be back in just a minute to get the show started.
Create a stronger and more dynamic business. Larry Kortkamp, founding partner at the Kortkamp Group, talks with industry insiders about trending topics moving the needle for local business today. Here's your host, Larry Kortkamp.
Welcome back. Today, our special guest is Maria Scarmardo from Praxis Data Security. Maria is the founder and CEO. Thank you for coming to our show today.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit, number one, Praxis Data Security. Security is a big thing. What do you specialize in?
So we specialize in practical data security for small businesses. We start looking at the risks and how to mitigate that risk, and we also do governance, risk, compliance, and privacy.
Okay, so whenever I have anybody into IT on the show, I always tell them, talk slow, use small words, right? Because I, number one, need all the help, but our audience is small business and they're interested in exactly what you have to offer, which is why you're here today. Because you do practical solutions for small business. So when we talk about security, first off, let's say you're meeting a new client today. What's the first thing that you want to try and do to somebody?
So the first thing we do is to assess their risk. You can't know what have a plan of action to mitigate or to fix if you don't know what's wrong. So you must first assess, identify, and assess what the risk is.
Okay, so it's similar to a lot of other, as a consultant, the first thing we want to do is put a plan together, right? A business plan. We have to know where we are. We have to know where we want to be at the end, and then we create that roadmap on how to get there. And it sounds like with you, it's a lot of the same types of situations, right?
Absolutely, and the risk for every business, small, medium, large, is different even within that space. Everybody has a different business process, everybody has different things that they hold near and dear to them. So you have to first, again, identify those things as well.
So we've added some new wrinkles this year with COVID-19. We now have a work from home environment. We have our work environment as well. Has that made your job more complicated or difficult, or is an assessment still an assessment?
Honestly, an assessment is still an assessment. The inner workings of the individual business is different, but we're assessing the same things.
Okay, so you and I have talked before, and you've explained it to me before that although you are not an IT technician, let's say, but you're the planner, you're the person that helps to assess where we might have vulnerabilities in the system. So you explain it as the flow of data going through a business, is that right?
Yes, so every business has a flow of data, and that's really what we're trying to secure. That's where your risk in data security is. Think of it as a circuit, and there's a flow of data going in and out and all these portals, and what we're trying to do is find out where every open gate is and make sure that it's locked and secure.
Okay, and then once you identify where those pain points or where those potential risk areas are, then you can create a solution to each one of those in whatever creative way that you need to be able to do that, right?
So we don't have to be so creative. The products are there. They're similar risk, similar gates for every business. Whether you have endpoints, and if you have, especially now working from home, you have all of your smart things in your home, and you have to make sure that anything that's flowing in and out is secure. It stays within your bubble.
Okay, so as a small business person, obviously most small businesses are faced with the same challenges. Most of it's money, right? So they have cash flow issues or whatever. And whenever we start talking about anything in a technology realm, it always starts to get expensive. So the way you help to mitigate some of that expense too is you don't spend where you don't need to spend, and they have to identify where these problem areas are, and then you can help them to chart a course throughout what they're going to need to do in order to fix that?
It's just like I said previously, we talk about the business process, what's important to you, how your business works, and we come up with the plan after we assess where some of the risks may be. We come up with what's called a plan of action and milestones based on those things, and we can make a plan of where you are today, where we want to be, and where our budget is, and a list of priorities.
And when I think about it, and as a consultant, I talk to a lot of small businesses, or really businesses in general, and when we think about security, I'm always thinking in a certain perspective when I talk about that. So I'm concerned about my business, my inner technology that I have, maybe my patents or whatever my customers' needs are. But there's actually more to secure within a business than just what we think of as the basics. And there might be more responsibilities to me as a business to secure than I might be thinking about.
It's really a lot of fronts. So the first front is if something were to happen to your data, your invoicing, or you're just shut down for 3 days, how much is that worth to you?
Oh my God, and we've had a chance to see that. I think this is a very timely visit for you today because people have actually gotten to go through a worst case scenario.
Which is part of the plan as well, is going through that worst case scenario. So if you were shut down, how much is that worth to you? So it kind of also helps you budget what you would spend to mitigate that risk. The second part of that is the privacy. A lot of these small businesses are now regulated and have to protect customer information, and that gets into the compliance requirements, which is still, we're still mitigating risks there, but now they're required to comply.
All right, you're already getting into a whole other subject that I really want to get into, and that's our compliance issues and regulation. So hold on to that thought. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute and learn more from Maria Scarmardo.
We'll be right back with more Biz Pointz featuring Larry Kortkamp after these messages. Strong business has always been the clear economic indicator. WorkSuites in Allen, Texas is just one of 18 locations in DFW and Houston that support your necessary transitions with full service and affordable workspaces for upgrading or downsizing your current workload. You need to be focused on growth. Trust the office experts and helpful staff at WorkSuites to take care of everything else, from dedicated phone lines and internet to furnished executive and co-working spaces. The OBBM network has tripled our business in the short months we've been with WorkSuites and encourages you to step out boldly, make the tough decisions, and get back to work your way. Your nation depends on it. The OBBM network acknowledges that this is a pivotal time in history, and it is clear the United States of America has been undermined by many of our elected officials for some time now. We want our local business audience to stand strong in the face of what we now understand, and to be empowered to grow our businesses on the local level beyond the limitations that have been imposed upon us. We believe it is in our national interest to inspire our communities through strong economic development, and additionally to hold our elected officials accountable for accurate representation of we the people. For that reason, we encourage you to go to WeStandForFreedom.com to learn about the National Write Your Congressman organization that has been the trusted communication tool for local communities for over 60 years. Learn how your representatives are voting. Understand the laws and regulations under consideration on the state and federal level before they are enacted at the county and city levels. Communicate directly with these officials and stand up for yourself, for by doing so, you will protect the communities you serve from tyrannical rule and unconstitutional reforms. The OBBM network is the premier voice for local business, and we take that responsibility seriously. The OBBM network has everything you need to grow and transition your business for success on popular syndicated podcast networks, Roku and other video channels, and the OBBM network app. We work for you, local business, and we've got your back.
Hi, welcome back. Today we're talking with Maria Scarmardo about security and keeping our data secure. Maria, when we went to break, we were just starting into some of the rules, regulations, compliance. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we'll start with explaining what governance, risk, compliance, and privacy each mean individually.
Okay, governance. So that's what we're doing right now as a country. We're trying to figure out how we're...
It's kind of like that, but different.
Okay.
When we say governance, it's maintaining that risk mitigation, that risk management throughout, not just the one time stamp where we look at our risk. Governance is governing that risk throughout your business.
Okay, and we use the name risk a lot. When we talk about risk, what exactly are we talking about? Risking or losing our data, risking of a lawsuit? What risk are we talking about?
Risk is anything in this situation, anything with data security, and risk is anything that would be a detriment to a business financially.
Okay.
Which is usually the bottom line, but not just financially. Then above that is the reputation, which also affects a business.
Because we see that, obviously that's in the news every day, right? A big retail outlet is breached and all our data has supposedly gone somewhere. And now they're at risk, they're liable for what?
Well, they were always at risk. So that's why we're here, is because now in the age in which we have all of this data we're holding digitally, we have to secure it so that we can stay in business.
Okay, and then the other part is regulation. Some of that is stuff we as a consumer, even as a business, really don't have no control over. Those are external now.
Yes, so that's the compliance portion of it. So every business needs to comply. If they're in a regulated industry, they need to comply. But now even retail shops need to comply to CCPA, for example, from California, that is a Privacy Act. Texas, we're getting our own Privacy Act probably by the end of 2021, 2022, where all businesses will have to comply to a Consumer Privacy Act.
So what does that necessarily mean to me as a business? If I run a small retail shop, how does that really affect me as a business? Is that opening me to potential legal action from something? For what? What am I responsible to protect?
For your consumers, it's their identifiable information, birthdays, addresses, in some cases social security numbers, anything that identifies them. Okay. And as of now, if we want to talk about Texas, last year was passed the breach reporting law that if 200 Texas residents, if their information was leaked, you have to report it to the Attorney General. And then they can fine you accordingly, whether you had done your due diligence to protect that data.
So a lot of small businesses, they feel that their business is not really a target, right? They're small and maybe they're a service company and they're a plumber or they're an electrician and they really don't have a lot of information. They don't feel that is at risk. So if somebody were to say that I was breached, I'm not really losing anything. But there are other risky things that happen to them as well. How about ransom security?
Absolutely. I would disagree with that. In fact, statistically speaking, the small business right now is more of a target than a large business. The small business is what you would call low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. We're the easy target.
You're the easy target. I could come in. Ransomware is now sold like any other software. Anybody can, try to use it. They have great customer service to get paid. They just have to either lock up your business and you pay thousands, less than 50,000, whatever it is, to get your data back and get back and running. That's on that side of it. So I would say that small business is way more of a target than a large. For a large company, they would have to have a big sales time, if you want to put it in those terms, because it's now a business. You would have to watch this company, take the time to infiltrate this company. For small business, it's in and out. You hold them up, they pay, you move on.
So it sounds like what you provide is really the roadmap or the plan, but it also sounds like there needs to be another component to what you do, that IT, either professional. Do you work with external people or internal, both?
So it depends. Small businesses are all very diverse. Some of them outsource their IT. Some of them, have an IT guy or somebody that they use. I can work with anybody that runs your technology to do that risk assessment and give them the actionable items that they would have to implement.
So in our business, in the media industry, I often provide, it's kind of an invisible support system. So when I have a guest and we're portraying the guest, I'm kind of a vetting system for our audience, right? So because you're here on the show, we have an implied amount of authority or expertise that goes with you, and you actually add that to an IT professional, correct? So if I know I've been on the business side of it, and often when someone comes in and tells me, if a plumber tells me my pipes are broken, I'm suspect because it's a plumber telling me my pipes are. So if you come in, you're actually that calming influence in a business, right? You're helping them to direct their IT individual in the correct path. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. What I try to do is give them the confidence that the steps that they're taking and the money that they're spending in their technology is working for them and for their security.
Okay, well that's getting me to the point where I really want to make sure that we know exactly what position you portray in this scenario that we're talking about. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more with Maria Scarmardo with Praxis Data Security.
We'll be right back with more Biz Pointz featuring Larry Kortkamp after these messages.
Our position in the market is that we work for a customer to align them with the correct retailer for their business. We'll custom price and build a contract around your business requirements, not around the supplier's preferred way of doing things. We go and do a custom price based on your energy usage profile. In our business, we can help any commercial business owner regardless of the size of their company. If you're paying $100 for your electricity per month or you're paying $1 million, we're able to help you get a better price based on who you are. Our position in the market is that we work for a customer to align them with the correct retailer for their business. Texas is very proud to have been able to shut down 9 coal-fired power plants in the last 2 years and replace that production with clean burning renewable energy. The 85% of the electricity in the grid for Texas is used on commercial. We're here to help those 85% reduce their costs as much as possible.
Introducing IV Hookup.
IV treatments have been the standard of care used for years to deliver intravenous hydration treatment to patients. Our medical director has created a safe, industry-standard protocol to efficiently support your wellness through IV vitamin hydration, including options for athletic performance, mood enhancement, general wellness, and hangover recovery. IV Hookup now offers full-spectrum COVID-19 testing at reasonable prices. This means we can get you and your staff tested in a quick time frame. Are you hosting a group event? We can provide a customized package for IV treatment and COVID testing as well. IV Hookup is everything you need to both stay healthy and to prove it.
Go to ivyhookup.com to order yours, and we'll bring it right to you. That's ivyhookup.com.
Hi, and welcome back. Today we're talking with Maria Scarmardo about our security and our data. So Maria, when we left, we've only got one segment left, and I really want to focus in on what we started with, which is our assessment. We have to figure out where we are before we can know where we're going to go. So can we go a little deeper into the assessment portion of what we talked about?
Yes. So risk assessments are really not as scary as they sound. I use a methodology where we identify, this is an industry standard, to identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. And using those principles, I ask a series of questions and that are geared to the small business and get those things in place to do exactly that. We identify, so we have to know what we're working with and your business and what assets you have, what information is very important to you. Then we make a plan to protect it, make sure you have the things in place to protect it. We put something in place, we make sure you have a way to detect if there's any intrusions, and then obviously respond to it and recover if and when it happens. And I'm sure you're going to help them understand what it is that their potential loss is. What are they actually exposing themselves to? Which is what you kind of find out when after you go through this assessment and the business owners really see what the most valuable assets is this data. And that's really what keeps them either in business or is what makes them fold.
I've seen several reports in the past that actually can attach a monetary value to some of the data loss or at least exposure. In this particular group that of data that you're at risk at here is the potential of, goodness, 300,000 or 400,000 or whatever this number is that they're at risk to.
And it goes back to the difference between, security and privacy as well, risk and privacy and compliance and all of these things. You can lose money in every single one of these aspects. So as far as the business risk of it, if you think about it, what is your business worth to you? That's how much can be stolen from you if they put you on hold. How much will you willing to pay to get back and running? There's that portion of it. Then there's the legalities of it and what information it is, and can people sue you for losing some information of their own? So you can lose money in every single aspect of this, and it's, again, trying to figure out what it's worth to you and reputation loss, what's that worth to you? So you really, every business, as I said, is different, and you have to sit down and say, hey, what's important to you and how much is this worth?
And when all this first started and security was starting to become a thing, at least in a businessman's mind, we were all really unaware of it. There's really no excuse for it anymore. Now we have insurance tons of varieties of insurance in our business anyway, from workers' comp to all kinds of health insurance. Cyber security is something we need to be. It's a type of insurance for our businesses, and we can't avoid it. It's like you said earlier, right? We're already at risk. We're already risking something. We need to mitigate that risk as much as we possibly can.
So cyber insurance is growing in the small business space for exactly this reason. You can start getting a policy from $50,000 to $100,000 to cover it. And in reality, what I have seen in the market is when something happens, that is still simply not enough to get what you need out of it. You will still be paying out of pocket past your policy, because it becomes ongoing costs.
Boy, that could be a whole nother show on the insurance. I don't want to get off on that tangent too much, but it's back to you and what you provide for the service. So if you were going to go out and meet a new client, first off, how are people supposed to get in touch with you? What's the best way to reach?
The best way to reach me is through my website at www.praxisdatasecurity.com. It's Praxis datasecurity.com. Or email at info@praxisdatasecurity.com.
Okay. And your specialty, again, for a small business?
Is risk, compliance, privacy help, and especially emphasis on that risk mitigation, risk management.
Okay. If you were going to leave our audience with a parting thought, what's the main thing that we know? Number one, you're not scary.
I am not scary.
You're not scary. And what you provide is an excellent service that really, we said small business a number of times, really it's any business. Anybody in business today is at risk of losing something, whether it's something personal to them or whether it's personal to their clients or their customers. They need someone like you to help guide them or plan their future for them regarding security.
So what I do at Praxis is that I help a company, a small business, mitigate their risk by, again, initially performing a risk assessment and giving them a plan of action, actionable items with a risk assessment report to do what they need to do to mitigate this risk. A lot of the times a company will have their own IT department. Sometimes they have an outsource. I work with either one of them and provide the help that they need. I also, for some companies, I just become their virtual risk officer, where they have everything under control and they really just need help with that risk portion or that privacy portion, because there's a lot of documentation needed to maintain privacy and compliance, and I help them with that.
A virtual risk officer.
Yes.
I like that, and I think that's where we're going to finish up today. You cannot underestimate the importance of having a security plan in place for your business. Please contact somebody like Maria Scarmardo and Praxis Data Security to get yourself a plan so you know where you are and where you can go in the future. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Biz Pointz TV. We hope that you'll join us for the next episode.
To be a guest or request sponsorship information, contact the Kortkamp Group at 972-824-8001 today. Production and programming information requests for the OBBM network should be directed to Offbeat Business Media by calling 214-714-0495 or send your request to info@offbeatbusiness.com. Biz Pointz TV, podcast, and radio show are produced by Offbeat Business Media for the OBBM network. Unauthorized use of logos, audio, video, or reproduction is strictly prohibited.